So my name's Andrew Kippen. I'm the head of marketing for Boxee. I've been with them since 2008 and have done all their marketing and PR up until now. If I could just get a quick show of hands, how many of you are on the, we'll start with the content side because I doubt there's anybody here. Okay. Two guys? Okay. Where are you guys from?
From Healthy Nation.
From where?
Healthy Nation.
Healthy Nation? Perform Group, okay. And then how many of you work for CDNs or other infrastructure players? Couple. What brings the rest of you out? Curiosity, okay. What is there any particular topic? I mean, there's only 25 of us in the room, so I can make this as specific as you need. So if there's anything you want me to cover, just yell it out and I'll make sure and include it in the presentation. Be brave, yes?
I'm just curious how the FCC, the discussions with the FCC are.
Okay, we'll definitely cover that. Anybody else? Okay, so I will give you the generic Boxee pitch and talk about Boxee Live TV. For me to come in here and kind of quickly demo the product would probably take 5 or 10 minutes. So I thought what would be interesting was to kind of walk you through our thought process for including broadcast TV in Boxee and why we think it's such an important element moving forward, especially starting this year. So to start off with, TV is great. People love it. We at Boxee love it, but it's stuck. Essentially, for a lot of us in the room, we know the reason why. There are contracts and negotiations and windowing and all these different elements that really don't make it in front of the consumer as to why things are shaping the way they are and why ABC, NBC, Fox, ESPN, Disney, all those different players are kind of behaving the way that they are. But to a consumer, it really just feels like people are trying to make their lives difficult. So we at Boxee feel like there is a solution out there, and we're trying to create it in the Boxee box, and the iOmega TV, and the different devices that we have. And we think that the TV's best days are still ahead. So, while everybody is still trying to protect the business model and the way things work right now, we think 10 years from now, TV is going to be amazing, and it's going to be personalized to you, and it's going to be a much better experience than what you have today. So really quickly, if you think about TV, it is an amazing escape for people. When we think about smart TV, we really think about getting people to the content as quickly as we can. We don't want Facebook on there. We don't want Twitter on there. We don't want all these things kind of popping up and distracting you from the escape that is television. We want you to be able to sit down and turn your brain off. And we want to help you get to that stage as quickly as possible. Maybe not as quickly as just turning it on and having Home Shopping Network appear, but we want to get you to something relevant to you as quickly as possible. And if you think about it, we're really in a great age for television. Networks like HBO, Showtime, AMC, FX are creating really great shows like Archer, Dexter, Game of Thrones. How many of you are Game of Thrones fans? Okay. I haven't seen the latest episode, but I can't wait to actually have time to go home and watch it. And that's how I feel like we should feel about television. We should have that kind of like, I can't wait to finish the story. I can't wait, just like you have it with a book, I can't wait to pick it up again and see what happens. Even if the show is about nothing. So we at Boxee, this is actually inside of our office. We watch the NFL playoffs. We watch the Super Bowl there, all via live TV through our device. And if you look at the stats, the way that people spend their day, just to put it in perspective, spend more time watching TV than we do eating, playing games, listening to music. I would say we spend more time looking at the TV than we do our phones. The only screen that probably wins here is the laptop. And for those of us who are watching TV and movies on our laptop, we obviously know why. A lot of us is just doing work and emails and whatnot. But obviously for a lot of people, it's the first thing that they turn on when they wake up. It's the last thing that goes off when they go to bed. So TV plays an important role in people's lives, which has translated into a $162 billion business. If you look at advertising fees, syndication fees, subscription fees, all of the different ways that these providers make money, which turns out to be an incredibly large, here are my notes, incredibly large business that obviously they don't want disrupted. But the internet is now here, so it has drastically changed the way that we think about television. We're devouring, how many of you watch, let's say, 3 or 4 episodes of your favorite TV show at a time on Netflix or places like that? Okay, so not simultaneous. One in each eye? One episode for each eye? No, not simultaneously, but one after the other. So I have friends who will, leave on Friday, come back Monday and say, oh yeah, I just watched the first season of this, or the second season of this, where they're consuming hours and hours of the same show all at once. And it's changing the way that we view television. There was a great New York Times article maybe 3 weeks ago with a guy named Jeff Gaspin, who used to be an exec at NBC. And he was telling this story about how he and his son had started watching The Walking Dead. And after 2 episodes, they were completely hooked. They went online, they watched it on Netflix, on iTunes, and on DVR. So they had all these different ways that they were getting the content. But each time they were viewing it, they were huddled up together. They didn't watch any commercials. And the tension of the show was allowed to build and kind of relax and really achieve the effect that the director wanted. So they're catching up. They watch 2 years of the show, or 2 seasons, and then they catch up just in time for the season finale. And they sat down to watch the season finale, and they hated it because there were commercials. There was, the interruption of a commercial. They were, feeling awkward about being put in and put out of the entertainment they were so used to watching on a linear basis. And he said, I never want to watch it live again, which is a little ironic considering I'm here talking about Boxee Live TV. But it means that the way that we're viewing things on the internet is actually changing what we expect from broadcast and live TV, whether that's commercials. If you watch a lot of Hulu and then you go watch something else, you realize Hulu has a lot less ads than a regular TV show. Things like that start to jar you when you go back to live TV. But now that the internet is here, we know what happens when the internet comes to disrupting media. So we'll take a look quickly at music. So if you think about it, I go into stores now and I see some CDs still, and I'll pick it up and I just look at it and I think to myself, this would be silly to buy this. Have any of you had that thought? Have any of you kind of totally given up on physical media? Yeah. No?
Only for really, really, really good groups that want full quality.
Okay. Like what would be an example?
Say maybe a Linkin Park or something like that.
Okay. All right. So maybe it's something that you always want to have available and with you at all times. For me, I use Spotify, and that's what we're showing off here. I have it on my mobile phone. I have it on my iPad. I have it on my laptop. I have it on my TV. I can listen to my playlists and music anywhere, even if I'm traveling. So I was in Brazil. I could just as easily access Spotify there as I do here. And that's $10 a month. Me as a consumer, I'd much rather spend my money going to shows, buying merchandise, really trying to figure out a way to support the artist. So $10 a month doesn't bother me? No. That's one CD. For the price of one CD, I can stream pretty much any song that I want. And I'm still contributing. I'm not stealing anything from those artists. So 2000, right around 98, 99 was Napster. So you see the rise of the music industry was doing really well. If you were like me, you were buying 15, 20 CDs at a time from Columbia House or BMG. And it was like Christmas Day when you get that box of CDs. You would rip through the little thin cardboard and sit and listen to each one fully through. Now those days are totally over, and we're moving into a place where I'm getting music from Spotify, from Hype Machine, from SoundCloud, from YouTube, from Facebook, from all these different places, rather than having to turn to either the radio or a CD. Same thing in publishing. So the internet has come in and totally disrupted the publishing model, taking away the revenue on the personal ads and the classified ads, but also taking away viewership. So now I read Flipboard, and I read the Huffington Post, and TechMeme, and Reddit, and Facebook, and that's where I get my news from. Occasionally looking through the New York Times as well, but outside of that, I couldn't imagine subscribing to a newspaper these days. So, and the circulation numbers show that. So they're down almost 25%. So that said, both of those industries have been disrupted, but the TV industry has not. And the way that we look at it, so obviously they've done a great job of kind of protecting their content and moving slowly, trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not, letting internet ad revenues kind of rise slowly to help offset the loss on the traditional side. But where we are today, if you look at the music industry, it's like if you could go out, you could either buy a CD or you could listen to 3 tracks from an album for 1 week and then they would disappear. Or if we were in the TV industry and we were newspapers, you would get today's news in 48 hours. And it just doesn't make sense the way that things are set up right now for a consumer. Additionally, the connected TV experience is still a bit difficult for a lot of people. So if you look at basically Boxee, Apple TV, Roku, WDTV, these are all still in the realm of early adopters, just kind of branching out more into mainstream, but we're not quite there yet. And certainly if you're a consumer walking into a retail store and you haven't used Netflix, you haven't used Hulu, you haven't used any of these services, but you really want an over-the-top device, it's next to impossible for you to understand what does this thing actually get you. What TV shows am I going to watch? What movies am I going to watch? It's one of my biggest issues in communicating in retail is, okay, if you're a Netflix subscriber, you know you want Netflix on your TV. But what are you actually getting? Versus when you subscribe to cable, you know exactly what you're going to get. You know you're going to get all your shows. You know to ask for specific channels that are your favorite shows. But over the top still has a communication problem with what you're actually getting. So we believe that right now the market is really ready for disruption. And if we think about it, the real breach for us in the pay TV wall is broadcast television. So looking at the 5 or 4.5 maybe, 5 major broadcasters, we think we can deliver an experience that a consumer understands what they're getting. So they understand what's on ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, and that's also augmented with a Netflix and all the over-the-top content. So a couple stats that we discovered after we started going into this. Nearly every week, week after week, the top 10 shows are on broadcast. If you look at the last year's stats from Nielsen, 89 of the top 100 TV shows were on broadcast. 95 of the top 100 programs, that includes sports, that includes special events, were on broadcast. And 80% of what people record on their DVR is from broadcast TV. So if you're a cable subscriber, chances are the majority of what you're watching is on broadcast, and then you're augmenting it with, let's say, 4 to 6 channels from Bravo, HBO, Discovery, ESPN, things like that. So we're saying, for some people, cable TV is a great solution for people who are watching, more than 4.5 hours a day, or who are passionate about sports, who are passionate about seeing the latest episode of True Blood or the latest episode of Game of Thrones. Cable is a good solution for them. But we feel like, given the way that people's viewing habits are changing, that a model with over-the-top and broadcast could be really interesting, especially when you look at the average cable bill is right around $75 right now. It's expected to go to $200 in the next 8 years. in general, it rises about 4% every year. So that's a lot of money when you stop and you think about it over the span of a year. People are spending $900 a year on cable. And what we're saying is, I'll get to that in just a second. Actually, I'll take a brief pause. Is everybody with me? Any questions popping up? We're all good? All right. So on top of that, most people hate their cable TV company. If you just go and look at Comcast and Time Warner and Cox on Twitter, you'll see tons of tweets like these. Comcast sucks. I hate my cable company. I can't stand them. I hate waiting for the cable guy. We tried to call Time Warner and order just the basic tier of cable, which is basically the broadcast stations plus public access. It's required by the FCC that they carry it, and it's usually somewhere under $20 a month. So the call, I have it written down here. The call went something like this. Hi, we'd like to sign up for basic cable, please. Okay, our standard cable package is $39.99, and you get an HD DVR for the first year, and then it rises to $59.99 after that. No, we would actually like the basic tier of cable. Okay, but what about if I gave you standard cable plus VoIP plus internet for only $99 a month? No, we just want basic cable. What about standard cable plus the internet? Nope, just basic cable. Okay, so standard cable plus a DVR is $32.99 a month. But we don't want a DVR. And then we get the sales pitch about the DVR. No, we don't want standard cable, we want basic cable. So you want basic cable with a DVR. No DVR. Okay, basic cable plus a set-top box. No set-top box, just basic, literally 10 minutes. And we knew exactly what we wanted. So if you think for an average consumer, they will never get to that option. They will always be bamboozled and talked into the triple play or the double play or the Big Mac. Whatever it is that they're selling that month, it's incredibly difficult for consumers to get to this. So what we're saying is let's take the cable guys out of the equation as much as we can. So we got to thinking, if you think about it, cable started off as a way to get broadcast TV in areas where you didn't have reception. So they built out this huge network that was basically one big antenna that distributed broadcast TV throughout the entire town. And then they realized, wait, I've got 50,000 households that are paying me for broadcast. I could easily add in a couple other channels to provide niche content. So you have ESPN, that's all sports. You have CNN, that's all news. You have movie channels. You have hunting channels, home and garden channels. So what we're saying is, if cable is really broadcast TV plus niche cable channels, then why can't we replace that with broadcast TV plus niche internet channels? Things like, YouTube channels. There's a great outfit out of South Africa called Earth Touch that does all of the videos for Discovery Channel, but they put their content online for free, so you can go see nature videos if you want. You can go to Funny or Die, or you can go to College Humor if you want something like Comedy Central. Take a look. Live Station does news. There's tons and tons of content that mimics what's on cable TV. So the way we see the landscape is like this. So the blue circle represents where we are now, and the green circle represents where we are headed. And in between, you see the 5 broadcast networks. And we count, Univision and Telemundo and a couple Ion, a couple others like that as quality content as well. But what's happening is there's probably a third circle as the mainstream starts migrating further and further left. And so Boxee is really trying to compete with that $75 a month cable bill with broadcast TV plus an $8 a month subscription to Netflix, plus Vudu, which is HD movies on demand, as well as everything else that the internet offers. And we feel like for a lot of people this is a really compelling offer once you start to get into it. And the way we know that is that this is actually, I have heard, I can't say 100% certainty, but I've heard this is the #1 selling thing at Best Buy, which was extremely surprising to us. There are, let's see, 1 in 4 Hispanic families in the U.S. gets TV over an antenna. 1 in 3 Chinese families gets TV over an antenna. There was an antenna company called Clearstream that went out and did a tour, and they went to 45 major cities, and they gave out antennas to unemployed people who couldn't afford cable TV. They had 3,000 people come out to one event, to a car dealership, to get a free antenna. There were lines around the block just to pick up an antenna. So there is a very high usage rate. Obviously, broadcast penetration is huge. And we think that we can tap into that, combine it with over-the-top content, and create a really compelling solution for people. So I am at the mercy of the internals of the hotel here, since I'm not sure if we get reception inside. That is unfortunate. So for us in our office, we get about 35 channels here in New York. There are, I think, 90 different channels in LA, including broadcast plus public access. We end up with a ton of great content. And actually, since the demo's not working, I will just run into our website and kind of show you a couple screenshots. Is there a Wi-Fi that I can get onto?
Yeah, here.
Which one is it?
Information today.
Information. Okay.
And the password is information.
That's tricky. Is that all lowercase?
Yeah.
Information today. It doesn't like that when I put that in. Info today. Okay. I have my own tech support group here. I like that. Okay. So this is what Boxee TV, live TV looks like. And just so you guys know, the actual device. So this is our Boxee box, which retails for $180, and then this little TV tuner is actually the live TV device. So that's $50. You can order it from the web, and it plugs into. It comes with a small antenna, and then you can buy an indoor-outdoor antenna. If you have an antenna on your roof, you can plug it into that. And at the moment, you can also plug it into. If you have cable, you can plug it into the wall outlet and get basic stations that way. But the idea for us was really to create something that plugged into Boxee's interface, had our look and feel, gave people a simplified guide that gave them a little bit more information that was probably relevant. So as you can see right here, these are Facebook profile photos of my friends. So if my friends on Facebook have Boxee Live TV, I can see exactly what they're watching if they choose to share that information. And then I can also see how many other people are watching a certain show. So that can be a good indicator of, hey, this is a really popular show, maybe I want to tune in, or nobody's watching this, or maybe I love Whammy, none of my friends are watching it, I need to tell them about it and get them watching as well. We tell you if it's a new show or an old show. And then we will, you can scroll right and get the 8:30 to 9 o'clock time slot, scroll again, get the 9 to 9:30. But for us, most of the time we realize that people are just focused on what's on now. How do you get me to something now that I want to watch? And then we make it really easy to turn on and off sharing. But actually, if you stay, let's say I watch the playoffs, if I stay on that channel for a little bit and I have Facebook plugged into my Boxee account, I can broadcast that onto my Facebook feed. So similarly to what they do with Spotify, whenever you listen to a song, they broadcast it. We can do the same thing with TV shows and movies. So for us, this was really a way to bring all that content that wasn't making it onto the internet, either at all or on time, to the Boxee experience. Things like the Super Bowl, NBA playoffs, the Oscars, the Emmys, American Idol, things that were better watched live than on demand. So if you haven't seen it yet, all of the major broadcasters come in 1080p HD 5.1 surround sound that actually has a better stream than cable because it's uncompressed. So it's about a 20 meg MPEG-2 stream. So it looks really, really great. And so we've gone through and personalized it. And we really feel like this combination creates an easy alternative to cable TV. So one of the ways that the cable guys are, give me just a second. So one of the things that we tell people is, look, if you don't get reception, then you should sign up for basic cable from your local provider, and you'll be able to get all those channels for, let's say, $15 to $20 a month, which we feel like is a good thing for the cable guys. They have petitioned the FCC, and they have petitioned the FCC to encrypt those basic channels, so you have to have a cable set-top box to decode them, which means another monthly fee. So you would pay for basic cable, and then you would pay an extra, let's say, $3 to $10 for a set-top box to decode that signal, which right now you don't have to. So a lot of people who have one TV in their home that has a cable box, and then maybe they have a TV in their bedroom or a kid's room or another room that doesn't have a cable box, and they can just plug that into the wall, those will be worthless. You'll have to get a set-top box for every TV that you want to have a signal. So we learned of this in December through a Facebook post from one of our fans who said, I think this affects you guys, because obviously we're a small startup and we're not following what's going on in Washington, and apparently neither was anybody else. So we raised a big stink. We met with the chairman a number of times. We've been down and in talks with the FCC, with Comcast, with NCTA, with a lot of the different providers, and some of the guys who are also affected on our side, like Aereo, Simple TV. Actually, the the CEA is on our side because they want to be able to create new set-top box devices that can watch this content. And as it stands now, there has been no official stance taken on the rulemaking. It's still in deliberation, but we're meeting with them on probably a weekly basis to propose different solutions and kind of come to a compromise on what we think the future should be, which in our view is actually to take, we're fine with them encrypting everything, but we say that other people should be able to decrypt and be certified without having to go through cable card certification. So if we wanted to do cable card on our device, on the Boxee Live TV, the cost would jump from $50 up to about $130. There would be a $250,000 certification fee, and it means that cable companies could individually not certify us, which means we couldn't work in certain demographics. And then they would also be charging people an extra fee to rent the cable card from the cable company. So all of those things don't really make sense to us. So we would much rather have an all IP-based standard that would just allow us to decrypt inside the box an IP stream from the cable box, and that would be that. Does that answer your question? Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's it for. Yeah.
How quickly do you expect it? Is there any indication that quickly at all?
I mean, we honestly thought there was going to be a rulemaking probably in February. The fact that it's drawn on until now is probably due solely to us raising a stink and sort of confronting these issues. At this time, I have no idea when the rulemaking. I would say within the next 2 months, but I don't have any definite sources on that. Yeah.
Can you show the other part of the Boxee, of Boxee, the IP side?
Yeah.
And UI?
Let me see if the scan found any channels this time. No. That's unfortunate. So obviously, reception in the bowels of a hotel is not really realistic, but I thought we might get lucky. So for those of you who maybe haven't seen Boxee yet, let me run through quickly the features. So the way I break it down is we have a couple of things that come from the internet, a couple of things that come from your local computer, and then some social elements and personalized elements that are really nice. So on the internet side, we have shows, movies, and apps. Unlike Apple TV and Roku, we have a full browser in Boxee. So we can go out to the web and really pick up almost any website's full TV shows, and we abstract them into this library so that users don't have to worry about where something's coming from. They don't have to worry about URLs or passwords or logins or whatever. They just come here. You can actually type the name of the show. So if I want to watch Fringe, it'll search through our TV show library. It'll pull up Fringe, and I could have just as easily done it from the other screen. And it'll show me all the episodes that are available online. So here I have 4 seasons. We try and find free sources or ad-supported sources wherever we can, and then we fill in the rest with premium content. So a lot of this is probably going to be from Vudu, but if I jump into, let's say, How I Met Your Mother, we can get it for free from Xfinity. Yeah?
Can you watch Hulu through your browser?
No. So we're in negotiations with Hulu, and because of that, we're blocked on their platform until those negotiations are finalized. But we still can get a lot of the content that's on there, either via Xfinity or some of the other network sites. Yeah. Yeah. So they actually, it's kind of strange, but they license a lot of the content from Hulu, and they've created their own branded website that delivers a lot of the same content.
And you can get their branded website.
Correct. Yeah. On the movie side, most of our movies are from Vudu, so full 1080p, 5.1 surround sound. They come out day and date with DVDs. So as soon as something's on DVD, you can get it on Boxee. You recognize, I'm sure, all of these movies are major blockbusters, and they range from 99 cents up to $3.99, $4.99, depending on the quality and the release window. And we give you the Rotten Tomatoes rating and the IMDb rating and trailer, whatever we can find around the movie. And then lastly, we have apps coming from the internet. So we see a lot of usage, obviously, for music, Netflix, YouTube. Those are our major ones. And each app is really uniquely created. So unlike Roku, where everything kind of feels the same, just with different colors, the TED app looks totally different than the Grooveshark app, looks totally different than the Vivo app. So it really is a great experience and a way to watch TV that is not characteristic of what you would see on cable. So, you know, a lot of stuff that's super interesting, relevant to me, and specifically stuff that ties into sources that I'm already watching online. So I can have a private account on TED, I can have a private account on Vivo, on Netflix, on Pandora, on Spotify, that are all specific to me. So and if I wanted to watch a talk, just click on it, I get some more information, and then we can jump into the video.
So is that through the browser also?
No, this is actually through, there are 2 different types of apps that we have. One is based on Python and XML, which is actually a native app for Boxee. And then we also support HTML5 apps. So if I jump into, what's a good one? I think this is HTML5. So this is through our browser. You see the mouse cursor come up. You see the page loading down at the bottom. And unfortunately, our internet here is terrible, I'm sure. So yeah, this is the YouTube HTML5 experience. So, and we go out and we tell, this is where we're pushing content providers to say, look, we don't need you to develop an app specifically for Boxee. If you do an HTML5 app, it'll work on Boxee, it'll work on PlayOn, it'll work on Google TV, it'll work on a number of different devices. So that's where we're really pushing content providers to go. So that's all on the internet side. On the local side, and I don't have a USB drive or a network drive with me. But one of the nice things that a lot of people outside the U.S. really appreciate about Boxee is the way we handle local files. So if you have a big media library of stuff that friends have given you that you've ripped off DVD or Blu-ray, you can easily import it into Boxee. And we'll go out and we'll find the cover art, we'll find out all the information, we'll put it into a library just like you saw for the movie library. And then on the social side, this is all media that's been shared with me either on Facebook or on Twitter. And this is really how we think those services should be leveraged. So it's not about, tweeting while you're, or seeing tweets while you're in a show, but it's really about taking all the video recommendations that you're getting from those disparate platforms and bringing them into one place where you can go home. And this essentially has become my channel surfing when I go home because it's much more personalized to me. And then if I find stuff throughout the day that I really like, then I can add it to a watch later queue from my browser and just send it to my TV, have it waiting for me when I get home. So we think, with all these things combined, plus live TV, so you've got TV shows that you can watch for free, you can pay for, you've got live TV, you've got movies as soon as they come out on DVD that you can own, you've got access to Netflix, you've got access to Spotify and Pandora for music, you've got 250 plus apps, so you've got access to all the files on your computer. It's a really kind of all-in-one inclusive solution for somebody to drop cable, reduce their cable bill, and go over the top plus broadcast. And we feel like if you look at the trend this year, you've had Aereo launch, you've had Skitter and Syncback, which are both more on the local broadcaster affiliate side for delivering a broadcast stream within a certain metro. You've had Boxee Live TV come out, so we're seeing a lot of people try and come at the broadcast angle from, broadcast content from a variety of different angles. And I think by the end of this year, you'll start to see people emerge as winners and losers in that. And we feel like, we haven't been sued, unlike everybody else. So, and we're using technology that's been around for a long time. So we feel like we're in a pretty good place to tackle this during the holiday season. Any questions? Any others? Yeah?
Just wondering, what kind of a take-up rate have you gotten on live?
Let me just think. So I can't share the sales numbers, but we initially sold out of our first batch in pre-order, and we found that let's see, I'm trying to think of stats that I can actually share. In terms of activity, it's been, obviously once people have it, they're using it on a fairly regular basis throughout the week. And most people were actually, one thing that was interesting to us is a lot of people were getting it so that they could watch local news rather than sports. So local news actually ranked higher than live sports, which was interesting to us. And we've also done some surveys about how they're watching it and what they have with them. And 70% of them have either a laptop or a tablet with them. Tablet or mobile phone or computer, and then 40% with a tablet. So a lot of people with second screens waiting to be tapped.
How frequently are they using this?
I haven't looked at those numbers recently, so I can't say. Yeah.
The live TV is really, really cool. Has there been any thought in like time shifting, like the content as well? Like someone's on home and they want to watch Dr. Phil, then we're just leaving the Boxee on and time shifting that content.
Yeah, so we thought we're still kind of brainstorming on that. Obviously, it's been one of the most sought after features. The geeky way to do it would be to allow you to plug in a USB hard drive and then record to that hard drive, because there's not storage internally on the Boxee box, or maybe over a network. But we're trying to come up with something a little bit more creative than that. Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming out. If you have any specific questions that you don't want to voice as a group, feel free to come up and talk to me. If you have any questions afterwards, my email is just andrew@boxee.tv. I'm happy to answer anything that comes up afterwards.